All right, folks, welcome everyone. Welcome to another online meetup. I'm just going to wait for some more folks to join, and then we will go ahead and get started. Let me just make sure the screen sharing is working. Let me share just one browser window. It might work a little bit better. All right. And you can all hear me okay. If you maybe someone can just put a message into chat just to make sure you can hear me fine, that would be awesome. All right, very good, thank you. Okay, very good, thank you. Cool. All right, so let's get started. So today we're going to be covering, what's new in workflows, and then we're going to cover two particular capabilities. It's how to search flow history, and then also how to allow delegated admins to run flows. So the plan again, to do the welcome, which we're doing now, and then we'll spend most of the time, as always, just actually sort of showing. I'll be showing you something, and then at the end we can spend time on questions. If you think, just to mention, so this online meetup is being recorded, and then a replay will be available right after we end the session on Crowdcast, and then I will also publish it on YouTube. And then I think sometime tomorrow I'll send an email, a message via Crowdcast with a link to the YouTube recording and also some resources that I mentioned in this meetup. If you obviously you're here, you joined the Crowdcast, so that's great. But if you also want to follow our channel, that's another option. So there is a button in the upper right corner. It says Okta Workflows. You click on it, you'll be able to follow our channel. And then even if you don't register for a particular event, when we go live, you'll be notified that the channel went live, and then that topic, if it sounds interesting, you can always join. So and you don't even have to register for an event. Cool. I think that's it. Again, two things I'm going to show you today is search flow history, and then how we can allow other people to run flows. Okay, so let's do that. All right, let me just close. Well, actually, I can keep it open. Tabs. Okay, so first we're going to start with flow history, and I've got two flows here, but first I'm going to show you. So let's see that it loads here. Let me just refresh. All right, so I've got a table with a lot of employee data. So I've got 10,000 records right here. And then what I've got a main flow and a helper flow. And then all we're really doing is we're just getting all the rows from a table and then passing them into a helper flow. And now the helper flow looks like this. I can probably close these tabs. It doesn't do much here. All we're doing is we're getting the information and then just sort of printing the information. Again, it's of course, this is not a real flow. But the idea here is to show you how you can search information when the flow in the flow history. So I mean, that's really the purpose. Now, I already got Let me go back here. I already have a few runs here. So I've run, on October 12th, October 24th, and I actually ran one just, about an hour ago. And it takes about 3 minutes to process all 10,000 rows. So I'm not going to do it right now again. And then right here, so this is, of course, the more interesting flow is flow history. So right here, you can see there are a lot of course, 10,000 instances, right, for each. And again, if you're looking for something for a particular record or a particular sort of data that you need to, is very difficult because, scrolling through 10,000 rows, I mean, even if it was 100 rows, is pretty difficult. But, and, 10,000 is just not fun. So this is where flow history comes in. It allows you to search for particular text values. So let me just go back one more time. Let me just open the table and just to show you so you can see how it looks. This is just random employee data. So I've got a user ID, I got a job title, I got a first name, last name, department, country, and then email. So that's how it looks. So let's say after we know that the flow ran, and we want to search for all people from a particular country. Okay, so again, going through this list would be incredibly challenging. But with flow history, let's say we're looking for folks from Canada, and then so the search is pretty straightforward. It's just text-based search. And so we just click enter to start searching. And then after a few seconds, we should get, still loading, still searching. All right. So we can see that it found all executions that have the word Canada. Now we can click on one of them. And then what's nice is that you get it highlighted. So you can see that this person is from Canada, right? So this is the helper, this is the first card, and this is the second card. And then if we click another one, I mean, same thing. Now, so the first runs here, they're from today, from 8 in the morning, Pacific time. But then you also, of course, get executions from previous runs as well. So you can limit what you're searching for by dates. And then if you click this icon, this calendar icon, you can actually select. Let's say you want to search only today. So we say 25th, and then maybe from 11 p.m. through 26, which is today, through 10 a.m. Again, this is a specific time. And then notice that we get 11 records. So out of the 10,000, there are 11 people who are from Canada. Okay, so that's how. So you can limit by time, not just by dates, but actually actual time as well. You can also sort of filter if you get an error or success or in progress. I don't have any of those here, but I know, of course, in a real scenario, you might get some errors, so you can actually just filter by errors as well. So let's do India. Search one more. Then you can see we get 10 records, people who are from India. All right. So I see one question coming from the chat. Is the flow history in GA? So I believe it's now in GA. I looked in the settings and in the beta settings, and I didn't see it there anymore. So I believe it is now in GA. I looked right here. If I go to settings and then features, and at least let me search this again. Yeah, so I didn't see this here. So I believe it is available now. So, but again, if you're not seeing it in your environment, feel free to reach out to me, and we'll figure out what is not available. Cool. Anyhow, so this is flow history. Again, it's I don't like saying simple, but I guess it is a pretty straightforward capability. And it's, of course, very, very useful when you have a very large history and you're looking for something in particular. And it is text-based search, but you can filter by various sort of statuses or types of executions, and then you can also limit by date. So this is helpful. All right. So this was flow history. All right. Let's go back and let's turn off these flows here. Okay. So the next one is, let me find. All right. So the next one is delegated flows. Okay. So before delegated flows, so the only way you could run flows is you had to be a super admin. And a super admin gets access to everything within the Okta organization. Now, it's fine for some people, but of course, in some cases, you don't want to give someone access to everything. But you do want other people to be able to run flows. Okay, so for example, let's say you want someone to be able to reset a password, right? So someone gets locked out of their account for whatever reason, and then you want to be able to run a flow to reset a password, and then you want to give that capability to other folks. But again, you don't want them to be super admin. So how do you do that? Well, you do that through delegated flows, right? So you delegate a flow, running of a flow to another admin, right? But that admin has less permission. So that person is not a super admin. Now, this particular capability is in early access, and so you do need to enable it. So again, I'm in settings and then features. And then right here, I have two options enabled. So first of all, you have to delegate workflows with custom admin roles. So you need to enable that. And then the other thing you need to enable is you need to enable delegated flow card type in workflows. So those are the two things you need to enable to have that available. Okay. But let's look at a flow. I've got two flows here, but let's open this one. I added delegated. It's up to you, of course, if you want to name it delegated. So this is a reset password. Now, it's not a real flow to reset a password, but the idea is to show how to set up a delegated flow. Now, the key is that there is a delegated card. And let me go back. Let me create a new flow just to show you. So you add an event, and we got the schedule, we got the helper flow, we got the API endpoint. And right here, we get the delegated flow card. Okay, so you click this card, and right here. And then on the card, you can enter inputs, right? So a flow might require inputs, and then you can create one or more inputs of different types. Okay, so you can do, input 1 and then input 2. So these inputs, when the new admin will be running this flow, they'll need to enter those inputs. Okay. All right. So let's save this. Call this test. Okay, let's go back. All right. So I've got a delegated flow here. So I've got two inputs. It's the user ID and the email. Now, right here, this is Okta user ID. That's the person who is running the flow. That's the delegated admin, or the admin who is running the delegated flow. All right. So what I'm doing here, and again, as I said, this is not a real flow that resets a password. So, but I just want to know who reset the password. So I'm taking the user ID of the admin who is running this flow, and I am doing read user, and I'm getting their information. Because what I'm saying is that I want to say that this person reset password for user. All right. So that's how it works. So we want to know who reset the password, and then for for which user. And then just as an example, I'm sending this message to Slack as well. Again, this is not a real flow. I mean, you can, of course, make it as sophisticated as you need for setting a password. But yeah, again, the goal is here to show you how to set up the delegated flow. All right, now we can test this here, and we can just enter a user ID. We can, oh, actually, this is not going to work because it's going to fail on the lookup here. Well, let's do this. Let's go here, and let's get the user ID. So we're going to be using Olivia. Let's get Olivia's user ID, copy it, and then test again. And then just a random email, and then this is an admin. All right, and then we can go to Slack, and we can see this is the message, right? So Olivia Green reset password for user ID, and then this is the email. All right, now, so this is all good. You know, there is a new card. You said inputs, but the question is now, how do you call this? How do you call this flow? Okay, so there is a little setup you need to do. So I'm going to go back here, and I'm going to go to security and administrators. Now, I'm not going to do the steps. They're not, I mean, you do, to set up an admin, again, you do it usually once or twice. So the steps are not very, I guess, interesting. I'll just show you how it looks, and then I'll share, I'll publish a blog post on, how to set this up. But of course, it's also available in the documentation, how to set up this admin. But the first step is I've created a custom role here that has access to workflows, and then I can just uncheck. I've got two of them. They're the same, just different names. I'm using this one. So it's a role, and then it has access to workflows. If I was to create a new role, test, it would look something like this. I would then check everything here, and then check right here, run delegated flow. Right? It says run any delegated flow defined in the resource set. So we're defining a role here, but then we also need to define a resource, and that defines which particular flows you want this person to run. Okay, so that's how you would define a role here. Now you define a resource, and that allows you to define which flows this role could run. And so let me show how this would look. Call this test again, and then workflows. And so right here, we can, I've got two flows here. So we can say, I want to run this flow, and I want to run this flow, right? And of course, you can list as many as you need. Or another option, we can say, instead of listing each flow, which gives you more control, we can say, hey, you know what? This role, this resource allows to run all the flows. So that's another option. All right. And then lastly, we have an admin. So I have Olivia Green here. And if I look at her assignments, so I have an admin, Olivia Green. She has a role of delegated workflows. And then that person is able to run the resources defined in this resource set. Okay. I know there's these three things, that there is an admin, there is a role, there is a resource. If this is the first time you're looking at this, it might be a little bit kind of confusing. But again, I'm planning to publish a blog post where just kind of step by step on how to do this. But again, we got an admin. This person is not a super admin, but this person has a custom delegated workflows role, and then this role enables that person to call the workflows or flows defined in this resource set. Okay, so that's how this works. All right, so now we have this role. Let's see how this person would invoke the workflow. And so for that, I'm going to share a different browser window with you. So give me 1 sec here. I'm going to stop sharing. I'm going to share a different window. All right. Let's see, okay, here we go. So, and then, so this is a different browser window, and I'm signing in as Olivia, right? So that's the admin that I set up. And I'm going to click sign in, and then I'm going to get it. So this person signed in, then I'm going to click admin, and then it's going to send me a push notification. Let's see, my phone isn't. 1 second. My phone is do not disturb. Here we go. And I wasn't seeing the notification. So here we go. Let me approve. Okay. So this is the admin for Olivia. And then right here, now Olivia has, because this role gave Olivia access, now there's workflow and then delegated flows. Okay, and so the way I defined, so Olivia has access to two flows, and then this one, and then this one. This is the one I was showing you. Okay, and then right here we're going to say run, and then these are the inputs which were defined. All right, so the user ID, again, just a fake user ID, and then the email. Okay, and then I'm going to click run. All right, it says right here at the bottom that the flow was invoked, and then it also gives me a message a second later that the flow was successful. All right, now let me stop sharing again. Let me share back Chrome. And let's go here. I'm going to wait for the screen to update. Interesting. Are you folks seeing the? Are you seeing the flow again? If you can maybe tell me in chat if you're seeing it. I have a second screen here, and for some reason I don't see it. But if you can see it, that's fine. Okay. So let me share again. All right. Yeah, I was seeing a black screen as well. So I just share it again. Let's see if it works. Okay, here we go. I think this is better. Okay. So this is, now I go to flow history, and there was this run just 2 minutes ago. Okay, and then we can see this is the ID that I entered. This is the ID that I entered. This is the email, right? And we can see that it read the user ID. So again, this is just to get the information who was running the flow. And then we send a message to Slack. And this is the second run. Okay. So that's how delegated flow works. Yeah, so there is some initial setup with the admins and the role and the resource set, but again, this is something you do once at the beginning, and then you just enable people to run a flow, which is again pretty powerful, because again, someone who is not a super admin is now able to run flows and, of course, also enter inputs. Now, a flow can have no inputs, and then they can just click run, and then the flow will run. That's, of course, also an option. So I see a question here from Troy, is that what is the delegated flow calls additional flows that are not delegated? That's a good question. And, I want to say it's probably going to give you an error, but I'm going to confirm that. So yeah, that's my guess, but I'll confirm, and then actually I'll include this question in the follow-up message that I'm going to send. Cool. Well, that's all I wanted to show you, and we're right under within our time. Let me go back here. I try to keep these short. Under 25 minutes. 30 minutes. I know you're busy and have other meetings and other things to do, so I think 30 minutes is a really good amount of time. But anyhow, if you have any questions, please reach out to me. You've got my email. That link has all the resources for Okta Workflows, from tutorials, documentation, office hours, tips, how to, video, a Slack channel, a forum, and everything else. So, and I'll include this in the message as well. And so, yeah, let me see if there's any questions. So I see there is also another question. First one. Is history search available in the classic engine? I don't know the answer. I believe so, but I'm going to include that question as well. So again, the question is history search available in the classic engine? So I will answer that question. Another question, can you give us some examples how Okta customers are using delegated flows? So it could be really any flow where any flow that you want people to run, but you don't want them to be super admins. So I know the super admin has, this access to everything. They can do anything within the organization. And I know for, again, security and other reasons, some people don't need that super admin access. And so, but how do they invoke a flow without that? And so this is the delegated flow is exactly for that. So you want people to run a flow, but where they don't need the super admin permission. So I think like resetting a password could be one idea. Maybe generating a report, right? So you can use workflows to run a report. So for example, that doesn't require a super admin, but you want to give other folks permission to do that. So I think that's another example. But if you folks have any other ideas where this is helpful, you can just put it in chat just to see other examples. All right. Let me see. Feel free to post any other questions. And again, you can always reach to me via email. All right, let's see another question. Are all custom and base attributes made searchable in the flow history? So yes, I believe all the attributes which are available in the flow are searchable. But again, it is a text-based search. So again, you can't search, like you can't enter like a regular expression or something like that. It's just a text-based search, but I believe you have access to whatever is available in that particular flow history run. But these are good questions. I think what I'm going to do is actually I'm going to take all the questions because I think there are like 4 or 5 questions, and I'm going to actually do a separate blog post just with the questions. So I think, and then I'll be able to provide perhaps some more information in the blog post. So very cool. And you know what's nice about Crowdcast is that you can actually post questions after the event is over. So there's a question, of course, you can email it to me, but you can also actually post it in Crowdcast, and I'll check it later today and tomorrow. Well, thank you very much for joining us today. Again, follow our Crowdcast channel, and then you'll be notified. And then we'll have another meetup, online meetup, end of November, or maybe like in the first or second of December. And I see one more question from our buddy and Jason Searchable. So again, I believe everything in the cards is searchable, and I think Jason should be also searchable. But again, it's still going to be plain text search. But again, I'll include this question in a blog post. And again, if I'll check with some other folks just to make sure I'm giving the correct answers, and then again, I'll post the answers. All right, folks, thank you again for joining us, and I will see you next time. Thanks. Bye-bye.